Let's put the wheels back on, Lawrence. It's time to get it squeaking. Welcome, folks, to the Squeaky Wheel. With me, as always, my very good friend, Lawrence, the President Gervais. And, folks, I'm Ross Memphis Pambrun. Lawrence, to jump on, it is National Smile Power Day. So, folks, as when you leave the house today, make sure you look at everybody you can and just keep that smile rolling. Also happens to be Universal Father's Week, which I just imagine sort of extends to anybody in any kind of relationship when it comes to fatherhood. And it's National Great Outdoors Month. So when you're thinking of something that you want to do, try to make sure it happens outside. Lawrence, welcome to the show as always. I always enjoy our weekly conversation.
You know, I've always been told by elders, that, all emotions are very healthy. So I wonder if there's a World Frown Day, the opposite of a smile day.
That's the next thing. That's the next thing I got to look up. Or is there a bloody mouth because you got punch day? Yeah, you're right. This is where we're headed, right? There's going to be a day for absolutely everything, and then we're just going to have to start over all from the beginning.
Well,
cut everything out and say,
celebrate being alive, right? I mean, whether you're happy or sad, just celebrate it. So. Just
celebrate it. Absolutely. Smile as best you can. Lawrence, talk about some of the things that are coming up for our listeners. June 16th, the Métis Mixer is happening. A lot of this stuff, folks, you can find if you go to our Facebook site, our Instagram, all that kind of stuff. But also if you go to albertametis.com, you'll find out a lot of things that are happening through the province, as well as you'll find out things that are happening regionally. And if you follow and get subscribed to their Voyager Voice, they send you the email weekly, tells you about all the Métis events that are happening. But we also try to carry them here. And in there is our June 16th Business Mixer. Lawrence, tell us what's going to happen this week.
Well, I think Richard Pichet is playing our music that night. I think they're announcing their new executive director for the Lougheed House that day. So I think they'll be at the event also. And then we have a few people coming to talk about the Métis exhibit that's going to be there. And certainly it's pretty exciting stuff, but always fun.
I like our mixers because, before when we've had them in different places, sort of how the businesses were trying to connect was a little bit different. Here, it's a bit more of an open conversation. It's not a huge space, so it's hard to get away from anybody. And you get a chance to meet people from different business, connect and see what the challenges they've faced and where some of the supports are out there. And I know that's kind of one of the big focuses when it comes to the opportunity for our business mixer. And yeah, big shout out to Richard Pichet, who gets the opportunity to play this week. We played, I think, last week. Last month. Sorry. Yeah, last month where I was in there. And, but yeah, to get a chance to play for your own community is always fun too. I think it's the following week on the 23rd is the Region 3 golf tournament, Lawrence. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that one.
So every Aboriginal Awareness Week, besides the last couple of years during the pandemic, we always host a tournament during that first Friday. So we've kind of switchy-rooed things around. So now we're doing 2 golf tournaments. One is Marlene's Memorial one. That's in late August. And that'll be at the location that she liked to plan her Aboriginal Awareness one. And I moved the Aboriginal Awareness one to Apple Creek in Airdrie. So, yeah, we're pretty excited about that. We've had 3 tournaments there already and pretty excited to have more.
Oh, Apple Creek takes such good care of us. There's always nice food at the end of it. And thank you, Lawrence, for inviting me just to play my guitar for a little bit while everybody's coming in afterwards. I'm hoping I get out to hit the ball for a little while and then, dive right back into playing a little bit of music as we all come in to socialize. There's a registry drive, folks, that's happening this week in Athabasca and Manning. So throughout the province, make sure if you know somebody, these are great opportunities to attend where the registration group can then start your process or your family's process or somebody who you know who's interested in exploring their citizenship. There's Creating Stronger Families is one of the programs that's available through the Métis Nation of Alberta. And it works on the psychology and empowerment of families in order to help them learn how to solve some of the challenges that they may be faced at any age throughout through the time of duration of their families growing up. Understanding fetal alcohol syndrome spectrum. So what may be happening within your community or within the people within your social networks. There's programs out there for fish health. And if you submit your information regarding what may have happened in your sustenance or your fishing, you can be entered in for gift cards. On the website, there's domestic fishing regulations, so if you want to understand that a little bit more. And Lawrence, maybe talk a little bit about Métis housing has now been around for 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, where did that program sort of begin? What's your awareness of that? Because, it's throughout the province. There's different locations that provide housing. How does that work?
Well, I mean, I grew up in Métis housing myself in BC, and through that program, and, I lived in the one in Saskatchewan also, but, we have federal agreements for housing with CMHC, and those agreements allow us to, have enough mortgages to purchase a building. And then after that, we kind of, during a certain amount of time, we take ownership of those buildings. And I think now here in Alberta, we have about 900 homes that we kind of manage, accumulated of all those CMHC programs, as well as our own M&A houses that we own, as well as a number of large buildings up north. But we've over 40 years.
That extensive.
Yeah, over 40 years, you do accumulate quite a bit of assets in terms of when you're working with the government. So when the government had decided to open that door for us, back 40 years ago, certainly was a godsend, right? So.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I imagine it's fostered a lot of families, being able to, create a bit of space for themselves as they get a few dollars put aside, and then open up that opportunity for somebody else to move in there. Well, they may find another place to live. So yeah, great success. Big shout out to that program. As well, under Voyage Voice, if you're interested in business, there's the entrepreneur workshops that are coming up, and you can connect in the world of Métis Works, which is an online tool where individuals and groups can find your type of business, or larger providers who are looking to try and create relationships within the Indigenous community. They may be looking for businesses with your specialties. And then the Métis Learning Centers are providing, and Lawrence, this is probably something you should jump on, TikTok. There's a program out there where we could learn that. Maybe you and I should learn that together. And there's podcasting. And I get it. We're well into our 80s, 90s. We add up all our other shows. We're probably at 100. Maybe we should take this course. Maybe we can straighten both of us out.
Start learning something about it.
Yeah. Yeah, how to talk a little bit smoother, how to talk a little bit clearer. But, Lawrence, you have a little bit more of an online presence than me. Can you explain to me, and maybe everybody else listening, because we'd probably appreciate, what exactly is TikTok?
Isn't that like an app that you can film these short videos or excerpts?
Well, I've become more familiar with Instagram because of my band. Memphis and The Grande is on Instagram. We're on Facebook. But where does it end? Like, should I be TikToking tidbits of performances that I do, or when I'm putting my cowboy hat on? Like,
I mean, if you're an artist and social media is your scope, I think TikTok is great, because you can, but as long as you're doing something that can get reactions, because that's the only way that this works, right? They'll go, oh, well, I like that, and they'll hit like and make a comment or something like that. But it's usually video based, and it's, TikTok also has a dark realm to it too. So there's, pranks, there's all these other things that people get known for producing content on TikTok, right? So,
well, if you're going to throw a pie in my face, try to make sure that my sunglasses are on. And if you can, try not to hit my guitar. I'd really appreciate that. But if you're going to TikTok that, try, and lemon. I'm kind of a big fan of lemon pies. So if you're going to hit me with one, and that's what you're going to record, try to capture that. Real fun story, Lawrence. I was just reading about, there's a Métis man who's in, I think it's northern Saskatchewan, Canwood, and his name is Gary Patterson. If you look him up, he's been making replica Red River carts since 2019. And I've looked them up. They're absolutely beautiful. They're just these, every one of them is different, made out of different woods, but it's that quintessential look of the Red River cart. And one of his is actually in the Dumont Museum, but he's also sharing them, and maybe we should reach out to him. I know I've shown my little Red River cart on the show before, but his are fabulous. Each one takes about 20 hours, and he's providing them to different organizations who, are promoting the continued discussion around the Red River community, around Red River carts, the discussion about the Métis communities. And I think it's just a bit empowering for him, but it's also kind of way to create a little bit more awareness to our community.
Yeah, I mean, carts, that's a tough job to do. And I always presume it'd be more than 20 hours. But no, if he can do that in that time frame, that's awesome. And also make them look authentic too. People like to use different woods or, more modern day, tougher woods. But in the old days, they just basically looked at anything around them and try to pick the strongest piece of wood and carve it all up and, make a cart out of it without saws and without all those electrical gear too. It would have been really tough.
And I should get Leighton to throw a picture up here. This was last week when I was in Manitoba, and we went to the Manitoba Museum, and I'm standing in front of a beautiful full-size Red River cart. And what I really found more interesting, because I've seen that cart a number of times, was all the tools that, or the lack of tools in a sense that were really available in order to create these. So, a lot of work was done without the, what our, like you're saying, what our new tools are today. I'm sure if we had today's technology, you and I could be building electric Red River carts hourly. There'd be another one. We'd be the Tesla of Red River carts, which I know we've talked about. If you've heard us tell that story before, remember, if any of you take over that idea, all Lawrence and I are looking for is about 80% of the revenue.
Yeah. But I mean, Alexander Henry and them, made those carts for work, right? Predominantly. It was to get over riverbeds and load it up with beaver pelts and all those things, right?
We're kind of just making ours more for fun.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be how do we get down to the Stampede grounds, or how are we going to make it downtown? Maybe an electric Red River cart would be a better idea. Though, do we take oxen? Do we just pull it ourselves? Do you pull me around? And then where do we park this thing? Do we get free parking? That's something we should ask all the local municipalities. If we're riding around in a Red River cart, do we have to pay the local municipality parking, or is this technically probably trail land anyways?
Well, I'm sure there's probably some law out there that talked about where you park your oxen, right?
That's right.
But I've traveled Alberta, all over the place. I've yet to see an oxen anywhere. So
that's true. We should look that up, Lawrence. I think that's a fabulous idea. We'll get somebody behind the scenes to look that up. What is the city ordinance when it comes to where you can provide or where you can park your oxen? For all I know, we'll have to ask the Lougheed House. Maybe we're allowed to park our oxen right outside there.
Yeah, there's probably something there for all we know. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. There's probably a hitching post for our oxen right down there. Let's talk about something that's kind of comedic. Now, every week I like to say our prayers and thoughts are with the families in Ukraine and all those who are suffering around the world and the challenges that are being faced. And, we're constantly seeing new threats and it's still confusing for us on the other side of the world to understand exactly how this was built up. But if you look at the world of business, McDonald's has pulled out of Russia. Well, now Russia has essentially just taken over all of the McDonald's, changed the name. I think it's something to like Tasty and Good or just Tasty, and virtually are doing the exact same thing as McDonald's was doing, but now it's just under a different name. I mean, I think they left all the equipment, all the supplies. In fact, as they've gotten started, from what I was reading, the ketchup packages still are McDonald's, but they just take a Sharpie and cover that over so that they're providing everything to look new to this new Russian hamburgers and Russian. It's not called a Filet-O-Fish. It's just a fish sandwich, I think is sort of what it's called. I mean, are they losing the flavor of the original restaurant? Does this seem right? Is there going to be Snetflix in order to take over for Netflix? Like, is this what they're deciding they're going to try and do on the other side of the world?
Well, you know what they really should call the restaurant is high sodium and lots of preservatives equals less tasty restaurant, right?
Yeah. So in order to be a bit more accurate. Now, if any of you are listening out there from the Golden Arches, nothing we've said can be used against us. This was just sort of, we're commenting more on the ingredients, not necessarily on the rest of the restaurant.
Oh, no, don't you say that. Jeez.
We're going to be our hands are going to be slapped.
We'll make the news finally. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to finally make the big news. We're going to make the McDonald's news. Did you ever see there was the guy who left the McDonald's burger might even have left fries too, just on like a piece of concrete.
Yeah, for 20
and
years.
It's been there for 20 years, and it's nothing's really changed with it.
No.
Just kind of all dried. I guess when you're referring to the term preservatives, yeah, that is it. That is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
After seeing that, even I cut back a little bit. I was never impressed by the whole Subway thing too, when they did the scientific investigation and realized, well, most of that doesn't seem like chicken. Well, so now there's going to be two big box stores that are angry with us.
I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but it's nothing short of formaldehyde preserving things, right?
It could very well be, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's, I don't know. I try not to eat McDonald's as much as I can after certainly seeing a lot of those things. And ever since I seen that Super Size Me documentary, I kind of lost where he ate McDonald's every day for 30 days. And the doctor told him to stop within 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, because of sodium, because his body just wasn't reacting to the preservatives. And I get it. Everybody, like any who's suggesting, oh, well, this isn't scientific. Yeah, neither's our podcast, right?
No.
We are trying to just generate conversation, trying to generate awareness, trying to come at it with a positive view. And I like to think that even these conversations, that when people hear that we're talking about products that we're unaware of, well, then these companies have the right, the opportunity to bring the information to us and say, well, actually, we are working to make our products safer, better, cleaner, healthier. We're trying to protect the environment. Give us some of the awareness, because in a lot of ways, I grew up just like anybody else under the golden arches occasionally.
Yeah, well, I don't go to MIT, and I don't wear lab coats. Only you do, Ross. So.
Sure, but that wasn't exactly what I was studying. Maybe I should switch up my awareness when it comes to that, and all of a sudden turn my study towards the Beyond Meat issues. Maybe that's where my new focus should be. That took us on a long segue, Lawrence. But thank goodness, at least we can start talking about that rather than having to figure out what's happening with the world of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard.
Yeah.
There's been no shortage of emojis when it came out to that one, but here is just a big fight of who can portray themselves better in the media. Are you happy that one's over?
Well, I don't think anybody's really better than the other out of all of that. I don't think I am. True. Even for looking at some of those videos, right? But I mean, speaking of TikTok, it's all over there too. I mean, they take little short excerpts and they play music and try to make either side look bad, type thing. And it's just, I don't know if I could really want my dirty laundry aired in that manner. I don't really think it solved anything at the end of the day.
No, you're absolutely right. I don't feel like it solved anything either. It just sort of made them both look selfish and foolish, I guess. Like it, and it was a long duration.
Yeah, you've got to be careful though, because some of those Johnny Depp fans we're finding out are very aggressive. Some of those women, right? So,
if any of you are Johnny Depp fans out there, try not to take anything that Lauren. Yes, we're going to be hit with Filet-O-Fishes pretty soon. The occasional chicken sandwich. Probably a pirate hat is going to be thrown at us, Lawrence. Yeah, just for all of a sudden we're upsetting each one of these fans. And Justin Bieber, for example, now too. His Tim Hortons commercials sometimes I find quite confusing. He comes out with a new product, and some lady comes in and says, "Yeah, I'm praying for you," or "I love you." And this, I'm like, who is she? I actually don't really even know what's going on. I'm confused. And now, the poor guy's struck with his facial paralysis that occurred. And this a lot of years in healthcare, and I was even completely unaware of what this syndrome was. It seems to be causing a half sort of side facial paralysis. But now, all you Justin Bieber fans out there, this is not a shot at him by any means. I hope he gets through this. This looks like a very challenging, taxing experience for him. But it still doesn't preclude the fact that I don't understand the Tim Hortons commercials.
Yeah, I don't even when Biebs came out, I didn't even know what it was, to be quite honest. And his relationship with Tim Hortons, I don't.
Yeah. I get it. It's probably money, but what? Well, and you got your own donut, but now he's got all these different drinks and he's standing staring at things on the commercial, but he's not really saying anything. I'm like, what are you doing? This doesn't seem very promoting. So I do find it very confusing. There's a gentleman he's a carver in BC. He's in the Haida Gwai area. So that area is really working. And I think BC is supporting to try and switch that community away from diesel energy reserves to, needing the electricity and have their power generation to solar, which is all great and dandy, but it does sound like there's not a tremendous amount of sun that is frequent enough in that community. Yeah. So do we start putting solar panels, underneath our homes? Like, this is my concern is everybody wants to just automatically switch from the way power has been generated or how we've developed our energy grid systems. And I support solar too, but it has to be, a rational argument as to how it's going to function, how it's going to be maintained. Some science would suggest it takes more energy to build a solar panel than it will ever recoup. But I do feel like we need to continue to build better products, and someday we're going to turn that around. But at this time, if all of a sudden you get rid of diesel and energy support, what happens when there isn't enough solar for your community? What are you going to try next? Coal? Like, we're going to end up going backwards.
Well, I don't know. I mean, figuring out ways of, the air, the land, and the water. I think we know things about land, but they're surrounded by ocean currents. I don't understand how there's not a system in place that they can get energy from that, or
right,
without affecting the wildlife because of the whales and everything in that area, right? So,
yeah,
I know lots about Haida Gwaii, and I've been there, and I have a lot of friends that work there, and me growing up in northern BC, but it's a very beautiful place to live, and I'm pretty sure they want to try to keep it that way as best as possible. But yeah, there's just not a lot of resources that you can really think of to pull energy from other than solar. But you are right, it does rain a lot there.
Yeah, so what happens when it doesn't work? So Leighton, send the signal out. Lawrence, the light's on. Take us down our indigenous plant conversation this week. What do you got for us, Lawrence?
Well, I think some of us might have seen these before in the bush and maybe had, certainly drawn sort of energy or berries. There's a certain type of berry. They're greenish. They're called gooseberries. The traditional word is sapumanek. And it's a berry that's kind of transparent, but it's green, but it's really ripe and juicy when you take it. And I remember growing up, going through gooseberries all the time. They grow up in little shrubs. They have usually a thorny bush on the ends, but right at the very end, you'll see these little leaves. And you kind of pull off, there's a piece that you just kind of pull off in the stem, and then you just eat the berry itself. But they are good for jams and jellies. But they actually affect, very helpful with your bladder if you have an irritation. You drink the teas made from the roots, stems, and leaves and bark. And they're very nutritious, I found anyways. But gooseberries do affect the stomach a little bit more myself anyways. But, other than that, and choke cherries and hazelnuts and all those things, we just basically foraged when we were kids.
Now, I know I've had those on salads and such, but those are one of those things that I wouldn't most of the time be comfortable knowing what to do if I went to a grocery store. Mm-hmm. So these are safe to eat, you're saying, if we just pick these out. But for some people, you're suggesting that it might be a bit acidic. Is that what you're sort of
I think so for me anyways.
Yeah.
May affect other people differently. But
sure. But I like the idea. So much of the root of plants are things that when you boil, you get the nutrients out of them and you make these nice teas. Yeah, that'd be kind of fun. We'll have to try and, take a ride down that journey sometime. Well, thank you, Lawrence. Those are gooseberries, folks. I have a new song just came out on the radio. I was interviewed by CJWE the other day called Last Storm. Make sure you look us up, Memphis and The Grande. It's a heavy hitting show. The Jurassic World, Lawrence. I know last week I was talking about Top Gun, and I said, go see it, folks. Tell me about Jurassic World, Lawrence. How'd the kids respond?
Well, it's funny because, we've had genome experts on our podcast talk about DNA when the vaccine was coming out. Dr. Raja Singh was here. And, when they start talking about dinosaur DNA and genomes and all those things, I was like, yeah, I know what they're talking about, right?
Yeah.
But no, me and the family went, the twins. The little girl didn't last maybe halfway through, and then she had to go because it was a little bit too frightening. But the little boy who's been with dinosaurs and can name them all, even when they're on the screen, is only 6 years old. We stayed the whole time. And I asked him, are you okay? And he gave me a thumbs up. And every once in a while, he put his hand on my shoulder to see if I was okay. Right? But no, it's actually the dinosaur, what they do, the effects are just amazing. And then they had more and more this time around that were pretty fierce looking.
Now, out of curiosity, and it's not necessarily, I'm not looking for a spoiler here, but is it left open that there could be another one? Isn't it always?
It is. I mean, with this time around, they had Jurassic Park cast alongside Jurassic World. And there's also a young girl who will probably be the future of that whole thing.
That franchise.
Yeah. Probably. And they're kind of setting up her story as the movie goes along. But I don't want to be a spoiler. But just go out and enjoy it, right?
Yeah, 100%. Now let's just finish up a little bit of sports, Lawrence. Now, in the world of golf, I think it's Saudi Arabia had designed a new golf program out there, LIV Golf, and they were out, for lack of a better term, let's say poaching some of the PGA players. Now, these guys decided for the many, many millions of dollars, some of them 75, some of them seemingly 200 million, have decided to leave the PGA, give up their pro cards, and go golf over there. Now, the world seems like they're frustrated and angry at these people, but aren't these just professional athletes? How does it really affect our lives that they've gone over there? I don't understand what the big deal is.
Well, I'm sure as if you're a PGA Tour member, I'm sure you bring in a lot of dollars for the PGA, right? And
right.
It's big business, marketing, the golf community, commercials, you name it. And I'm sure PGA, because you're advertising their name, takes a portion of that. So now you're suspended, you violated your contract, you're in a different league. The PGA community might lose out a little bit on this, right? Because Dustin Johnson's a big name, right?
Right.
And he's one of the young guys, so him to move over is a huge deal. And if he starts attracting others to go over there, then PGA might feel a hit.
Sure, but isn't that business? Oh, well. Yeah. So then the PGA do better. Well, pay more, pay less, get a better business model, do something. Isn't that what sport is generally about? I mean, we've gone away from that it's about winning for your city. It's more about, what kind of money can you make as a pro athlete? They don't have the longest careers. Well,
what it does, it tells me that there's 15 cards that are open right now. So let's do this. Let's start practicing. Maybe I can get one.
If you're looking at putting any Indigenous golfers out there, folks, look towards Lawrence and Ross. This is, if you could reach out to us and you want to know what my swing handicap is, I'm happy to share that. I think it's like 90 or something like that.
Well, look at John Daly. He smokes a pack of golf and
that's right.
Drinks a beer probably. And
as long as I'm willing to go out there and not smoke a cigarette, then I figure I'm better. I'm doing better than he is. At least better for the promotion. And Lawrence, let's close this up. Well, the Oilers and the Flames are all out. We all know that. That's been decided a week ago. But it's now Tampa Bay versus Colorado. Tampa Bay, this is their third straight time going to the finals where they've already won 2. When they started this, Tampa Bay just didn't seem like they were really too concerned. But then they kind of won the first series. It's like, oh, well, let's try a little harder for the second, but we're really not too bothered by it. Then they won. Now they've won the third series. Now I think they're ready to win. Who are you cheering for, Lawrence? Because I know who I'm picking.
Well, I mean, John Cooper went to high school with my brother and sister in Prince George. He's the coach for Tampa Bay. Maybe a little bit of Prince George is rubbing it off on all the players. I don't know, but
oh yeah, I'm sure that's exactly what they're.
Well, we're pretty excited for the whole team. I mean, I don't know if they're creating a dynasty. We'll see, but from what I've seen, they're fairly decent. But
so are you going Tampa Bay?
Yeah, I think Rangers put a real hurt on them at the very beginning of the series, and they came back and won it. So,
well, then I'm going to go Colorado. So how about this, Lawrence, as a bet for our listeners?
Okay.
Whoever wins or loses this series, you have to paint your face somehow for one of our episodes.
Yeah, right. I'm not doing that.
Hey, I'm willing to put a TB somehow on my face if we win. Are you willing to take this bet?
Okay, fine. I'll do it.
Okay, folks, you heard it here. I got Colorado. Lawrence has got Tampa Bay. We're all going to find out at the end of this, and then when the episode comes out, you'll see what happens. So from all of us here at the Squeaky Wheel, from Devin and from Leighton and from everybody else behind the scenes, from the president, from the captain, thank you so kindly for joining us. Folks, be easy on yourself. Be easy on others out there. Keep the wheel squeaking and keep smiling. It's National Smile Day. You take care. The Squeaky Wheel is brought to you by the Squeaky Wheel Company, co-hosted by the President, Lawrence Gervais, MMA Region 3, and the Captain, Ross Memphis Pambrun. Our program is broadcast from Calgary, in Region 3 of the Métis Nation of Alberta, which is part of the historic Métis Nation homeland. We also acknowledge these lands are the traditional territories of Treaty 7, Blackfoot Confederacy, Siksika, Kainai, Piikani, Tsuut'ina, and Stoney Nakoda, with whom we share this land on the basis of our historical and ongoing relationships. You can always reach us for comment about our programming by email at tsw@thesqueakywheel.ca or find us on our website, www.squeakywheel.ca, and our socials. For our comments, it is our focus to recognize all of our First Nations and Indigenous friends, share connection with Métis settlements, and listen to and show respect to our Métis brothers and sisters and families. Here at the Squeaky Wheel, we give thanks to our elders for their guidance and to Mother Earth for her time she allows us to be here and share her bounty. From all of us at the Squeaky Wheel, Tansi.